Hey there. Today I will talk about design, develop, and deliver, which is my framework in building a course that delivers results. So you might be wondering, who am I, right? My name is Hazel June. I build courses for busy coaches and consultants who are tired of having to constantly trade their time for money. And I actually help them create a scalable revenue stream by creating courses that convert. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to walk you through the process of how I do that with my clients. So you've probably heard that the online learning industry is projected to be worth over $243 billion by 2022. And that's a few years from now. So everybody is, creating and selling digital courses left and right. And you will see that maybe the question that you have in your mind is, how in the hell will I get a chunk of that pie, right? Let's go ahead and dive in for you guys to find out. So there are actually 3 stages of course creation. So there's validation, development, and launch. Validation is merely validating if your course idea is viable, if it's something that the market wants, if it's something that actually solves a problem, and if your market is actually willing and able to pay you for the course. Development, on the other hand, is the actual creation of the course, whereas launch is the marketing aspect. So today, I'm not going to go through all 3 stages. What we're going to talk about is just the development stage. So meaning that middle stage of the entire course creation process, okay? So there are 3 steps, 3 major steps in the development stage. The first one is design, second is develop, and the third one is deliver. So what exactly is design? So design is mapping out the structure of your course and shaping the content of your course using different instructional strategies or delivery methods. Develop is the actual writing, recording, and editing of your course content, as well as creating those course materials like your workbooks and your worksheets. And then finally, you have deliver. Now, deliver is setting the course up on an online platform and getting it ready for your launch. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's get started with the first one, which is design. So in the design step, there are 3 sub-steps that you guys have to do. One is identify your customer starting point, meaning where your customers are currently at. Okay, what's their current level of understanding, current level of experience, current level of expertise on your course topic. Once you have identified your starting point, now you would have to determine where exactly do they want to go. What is their desired destination? Where do they want to be at after taking your course? So then you have your point A, which is your starting point, and then you have your point B, which is the end point, right? The result. Now, what I'd like you to do next is to map out the steps needed for your customers to go from their current situation to their desired destination. Meaning, what are the steps your students need to take to go from point A, the starting point, to point B, which is your desired destination? Make sense? Now, your task, because I'd like this to be very actionable for you, I'm going to give you a task that you guys would have to do after each major step. So for the design step, I'd like you guys to create your course outline using the steps that I've just told you about, and decide how you're going to deliver the content. Will it be in a form of an audio? Will you use a text-based format? Will you deliver it in a form of an email? Will it be a video training series? Will it be will you use slide decks or PowerPoint presentations? How are you going to deliver your content? So the outline, what you guys would have to do, because remember, we have starting point, which is your point A, and then you have your desired destination, which is your point B, right? And then you map out the steps in between. That's going to bridge that gap. Now, those steps that you have identified, those steps will serve as the modules for your course. Now, the module or modules, module is a course terminology, which is an equivalent of a chapter in a book. So if you've read a book, you will see in the table of contents, you will see different chapters, right? So think of a module like the chapter in a book. Make sense? So next one is develop. Now in the develop phase, the first step is for you to brain dump all of the information that you'd like to talk about on each of the lesson or module based on the outline you have created. So say for instance, if you were able to map out 6 different steps, meaning that's 6 different modules that you will include in your course, right? Now on each of the module, on each of that major step, there are certain things that, or certain information that your students need to know, they need to understand before they can go ahead and take that step. So what you would have to do then is brain dump. Brain dump meaning just write everything down. Get a piece of paper, write everything that they can think of. Don't even filter it. Okay, don't even filter it. Don't even think about it. Just write down every single damn thing that comes to your mind whenever you hear or see, you know, that particular topic. Okay, no filter, just write things down. Okay, that's what brain dump is. So what you guys have to do is you would have to brain dump everything that you can think of about that particular course or topic. And then once you've done that, I'd like you to categorize and organize those information that you were able to write. Categorize those information into modules and lessons. So again, module is your bigger chapter, right? So if you can picture or imagine a book, in the table of contents, you will see chapter 1, blah, 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 blah. And then below that chapter 1, you will see different sub-lessons, right? Or topics or subtopics. Those subtopics, those are your lessons, which is your small chunks of information, small chunks of content relevant to your module, which again will help your learners take that step. So say for instance, if the module or if your course is about Facebook marketing and the desired destination is to be able to run a profitable Facebook ad, then your module can be, say your module can be create a custom audience, right? Or create a Facebook pixel. So say your module is create a Facebook pixel. Now we can't discuss that step, which is create a Facebook pixel, in just one go. There are certain things that your audience needs to know, the audience needs to understand for them to be able to effectively create a Facebook pixel, right? Now those little things, those subtopics, that's what the lessons are about. And then create a Facebook pixel, that's going to be your modules, so that when they take that along with the other steps, they will be able to run a profitable Facebook ad. Does that make sense? So that's what I'd like you guys to do. Brain dump all of the information that you can think of. Again, no filter, no holds barred. Don't stop writing. Just write as you think about the information, okay? And categorize all of this information, organize them into different topics and subtopics, and ensure that you're flushing out the fluff. You don't want to put a lot of content that doesn't really make sense or is not really needed, you know, in the lessons or the modules. It needs to be something that is needed. It's a need to know. It's core information, core skill that your students need to have an understanding of for them to be able to go to the next step, okay? And then once you've mapped out and categorize all the topics, the lessons and the modules, then the next step is to write a rough draft of each of the lesson. Because let's face it, the first version ain't gonna be perfect, okay? So don't stress yourself. What I'd love for you to do is just write a rough draft, and you can always iterate as you go. You can even edit it even after you've launched your course. So the thing is, just make sure that your lessons are actually is not information or content driven, but it's results driven, meaning it's all tied to an action step you would love your students to do in order to get to the desired destination. Okay, now once you've written a rough draft of each of the lessons, then you would have to create your materials. It can be in the form of your PowerPoint presentations, your slide decks, your workbooks, your worksheets, your infographics. your checklist, any supplemental learning materials that you feel your students will benefit from, and will encourage, motivate, and make it easier for them to actually implement the concept. And then after which, once you have created the materials, then you can start recording your content. Now, I always suggest to have all three formats available or accessible to your audience. That means you have a video, you have an audio, and you have text, because your students have different preferred way of learning. Not everybody wants to watch a video. Not everybody wants to listen to an audio file. Not everybody wants to read a damn text, right? So to cater to the different learning styles, you would need to have a video, audio, and text accessible to your learners. So how do you go about this without having to spend a whole lot of time doing it? So my suggestion is create your video first. Okay, create your video first, get it done first, and once you have your video up, convert that file into an audio file. Okay, so from MP4, convert it to MP3. Once you have that done, then you can hire or outsource a transcriptionist who will then transcribe the audio file for you. Now you got video, audio, and text, and you only have to do it once. Sense? Now, after you have recorded the content, then you would have to edit the recording. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you have recorded it, it's perfect, or it's well, we're not aiming for perfection here, but at least it needs to be something that's professional and that's well designed. Okay, so again, the recording, you would have to edit that too, because what if there's a lot of dead air, or there's a lot of fillers in between that that are not necessary, or you've talked about topic A too much, then you can actually cut that and edit it so that it's more direct to the point and straightforward. Okay, now your task is to batch each of these tasks to remain efficient and productive. So if you haven't heard about batching is doing the same task all in one go. So say, for instance, if you look at the task or the steps under develop, you will see that there's a lot, right? You would have to do the brain dumping thing. You're going to do the categorization and organization of the topics. Then you have the rough draft task, and so on and so forth. So my suggestion is, if you need to do the brain dump, do the brain dump for every single lesson, for every single module. Then you have to schedule another day for writing the rough draft for all of the lessons, and then schedule another day specifically for creation of the materials, and then schedule another day specifically for recording, and then another day specifically for editing and iterations. Okay, because then you don't have to multitask. I mean, your brain don't have to switch to different tasks from one task to another, so it becomes more efficient, because as you do something over and over again, you become more efficient and you become better at it. Okay, so that's the benefit of batching. So I highly encourage you guys to batch your task every single time. Now the next step is deliver. Now in the delivery phase, this is where we would have to choose an online platform that fits your budget and suits your course creation needs. One thing I'd like you guys to keep in mind is, especially if this is your first class or this is your pilot course, please don't go fancy. Okay, no need to go fancy, because the platform is just your vehicle to deliver the content. It is not the sole driver of the results. Okay, so as long as you deliver it deliver it well, and you focus on the content that your audience needs to get to the desired destination, then you should be fine. Okay, next step is setting up the members area and making the navigation menu straightforward, then making the layout easy to understand and navigate. So I want to combine these two because they're very relevant. I mean, they're connected. So whenever you design your membership area, just make sure that it's easy to navigate. Ease of use and straightforward layout is actually encouraged here, because the last thing you want is for your learners to get stuck because the membership platform is just way too complicated for them to use it. Okay, so don't create a freaking complicated platform. Make sure that it's easy to navigate, because you don't want your customers, you don't want your students to have another distraction or another reason to delay or procrastinate in learning your material. Okay, because if they do not consume your content, if they do not go through your course, they don't get the freaking results. Okay, next one is uploading all of the course content and materials. So that's basically self-explanatory. Once you have everything laid out, then you can absolutely start uploading the materials, the videos, the audio files, all of your downloadables, right? And then just before you launch, well, not just before, but before you actually hit publish or before you launch your course, make sure that you test every single damn thing. So the links, the buttons, all the downloadable files, all of the pictures, all of the videos, they need to work. Because if there's a broken link, a broken picture, or a video that doesn't work, of course it creates a negative experience amongst your learners, and nobody wants that. Okay? So your task is, if this is your pilot class, again, no need to go fancy. You can even deliver your course inside a Facebook group. So all you have to do is create a Facebook group, of course. Create a Facebook group, set the group setting into social learning. That's going to give you access to the units feature. Okay, you can use the units feature to organize your topics and set up your lessons or your modules. All right. Okay. So that is basically the simplified course creation process that should help you get started with at least a mini course. Okay, with at least a mini course. So a simple email course, or a simple video training series, or a simple challenge, that's going to help you do that.